Hi everyone, welcome to the Max Wellness Podcast, where we chat to athletes, influencers and industry professionals on their experiences, lessons learned and tactical tips on how to maximize your wellness and smash your goals. So today we are joined by Akin Solanke-Caulker.
That's so funny. Oh, should we just leave it like that?
Caulker. What is it?
Caulker. Yeah, it is that.
Did I say it?
Yeah.
I say we just leave this in and carry on going.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Leave that in. I thought that was
It's
part of
funny,
it.
yeah. So welcome to the show, man. How are you?
Oh,
I'm very well. How are you guys doing?
Do people always get your name wrong? Was it just Hannah?
Do you know what? It's a mixture of
Just
quite
say your
a few
name though,
different-
actually, so everyone knows.
so the remix version. I'm so sorry.
It was probably 70% right. Akin
Akin
Solanke,
Solanke.
which is kind of ironic because I'm not the tortoise, which I've got my whole life with, and Caulker. So when you break it down, it's pretty smooth, but
It's a pretty cool name, yeah.
it looks a bit more complicated than it is, I think.
Yeah.
If everyone could have heard how I was actually getting coached on how to say the name beforehand. And I double guessed myself, didn't I?
I know.
Messed it up. I'm so sorry.
It's all good. Not a problem, my love.
Anyway, let me actually properly introduce anyway. So, you are the founder of the Athletic Corporation. So, it's a company where they represent elite athletes and brand representation, and they're looking to basically just absolutely change the game and kill it. So, today we are going to talk to Akin about how he got here, lessons learned, and basically how he's staying on top of his game as the best dressed agent in Europe.
Agent and athlete, to be honest, you can. I'm just
Semi-pro.
yeah.
Can you be an athlete's agent and not be an athlete to some extent?
So I see.
You see what
You
I'm
saying can you represent an athlete and having
And
not
not
been
be
one?
fit. Like imagine if
Oh.
you imagine you represent an athlete and you're out of shape.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm pretty sure they exist.
it's like going to a barber with a bad haircut. You wouldn't do it, would
That's
you?
what I'm saying. That's my point. It's a bit weird, isn't it?
There
It's
are.
like when you go to the gym and you see a personal trainer who's overweight, personal trainer
that
someone.
happens all the time.
That drives me insane.
Their knowledge is there,
Yeah.
but then if someone's injured, because you obviously used to play semi-pro rugby,
I did, yeah.
you got injured.
Ruptured my Achilles, yeah.
Just that, just a little bit of an eruption.
One of the worst ones.
That's
Better off
literally
breaking
the
a bone.
worst. That like gives me what is it? Saw vibes. You see when they used to
Oh, God,
yeah.
yeah.
In Saw when
all
they cut
over.
out, yeah, you don't want that.
no,
Jigsaw.
absolutely not.
Yeah.
So obviously, I'm assuming that's what started your journey to where you are
Yeah.
now. So can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I'm a London boy, born and bred. Stoke Newington, Hackney's home for me. Despite
The old Hackney, not the new posh one. Just everyone knowing.
Not the one where you go to
new-
cereal bars.
Yeah. The new one, where no one can afford to live, gentrified.
cereal bars
The old one.
and new pizza restaurants. Every time I drive home to see my mum, I'm like, Mum, what am I in the right? Like, have you changed the dress?
Mad, isn't it?
It's crazy.
It's like Stratford as well. It's like change.
Yeah, Stratford. Many cities, to be
Many
fair,
of them,
around the world. But that's where I'm from, born and bred. So, despite my voice, I went to school outside of London. So I went to school in the countryside, Hampshire. I've always been into sport. Being a London boy, football was my first love. I'm an Arsenal fan for my sins.
Well done.
Yeah, for my sins. So
They're doing
Back
that
in the
well at
day,
the-
if you was a
not
black
they're
guy,
doing
you
that
had to
well
support
at the
Arsenal.
moment,
yeah,
I'm sorry, every one of
Yeah.
my black friends from that era,
Yeah.
you have to support Arsenal.
I mean, we had quite a few.
There's the odd Liverpool or Chelsea, but that's about it.
Yeah, especially my generation. Like if you're 30ish now, that was the teams to support. And all Man United supporters have always lived down south. Like the banter was they never lived actually in Manchester. But yeah. So for me, that's how it all started. And at school is where I found rugby. So Johnny Wilkinson went to my school.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
He was a few years above me. I know that you've spoken to Clive Woodward. So the two of them, along with the rest of the squad, helped England win the World Cup in 2003. And so, yeah, being at that school, Lord Wandsworth College, and there were a number of other professional rugby players who made it. Really, that was my focus from 13 to like early 20s until I got injured. Rugby was my thing. So I'd eat right, be training, doing hill sprints and all of these things. Got injured and then made the transition into now representing a lot of the players that I grew up playing with or against, so on and so forth. So
Was that quite a natural transition, or was it something that you thought to yourself, right, this is something that I'm going to do post-rugby career?
super natural. because I went to university, studied English literature and philosophy, and that wasn't as a segue to this is what I'm going to do later in life. That was just my mum's a writer, so I've always grew up around words. Before I could go out and play football in the park, she was making me write about my day, like a paragraph or two. Yeah, not like, you know, with a whip, like
lines
in a dungeon. Yeah,
Mum made me write again.
But she just wanted me to get my mind working, and she was happy for me to do sport and do the physical stuff. But she also wanted me, I guess, intellectually to be up to par as well. So that was my life from very young. But so yeah, for me at uni, I've always had a strong network of friends, athletes who I played with and against in different sports, football, rugby, track and field, whatever it might be, cricket, all the rest of it. But I've also had a great kind of affinity for conversation, which stems from mum and that upbringing. So that's what an agent is. Like when you're a sports agent, you have access to players and a strong network, and then also the ability to sell and to, you know, maximize a player's marketability as much as possible. So it wasn't a premeditated thing. It was very, very organic. But yeah, I'm one of the lucky few that's actually found their calling, because a lot of people, obviously, you know, for us, we all love what we do, which is super. I know that for me, I'm very grateful for that.
It's not normal. Like,
it's not normal.
It's only the few. Like if you speak to most people about them, the idea of them making money around something they're passionate about, for most people, it feels like a dream. Like something that is like, you know,
not attainable.
No, not attainable. They're like, yeah, it's all well and good for you, but like, no, you can do it. But most people never find something they're truly passionate about.
Exactly.
So it's great that you found that.
When I wake up, like negotiating deals for players, that really gets my motor going. Like we were talking off air, you were talking about closing deals, etc.
It's like a drug.
Obviously, Hannah working with different clients, seeing their journey from point A to point B.
Exactly.
For me, when I'm negotiating a deal, that's genuinely like being a player on the field about to take a free kick, and then when it goes in, so when I negotiate the deal and I get that email back to say, yeah, we're on, that's like the ball going in the net for me. So yeah, not everyone gets that, but I'm buzzing I get to do it every day. And it's that journey that you can go on with a player that I really love. Seeing them go from relatively unknown, you know, we might start working with a player who's already established, won a World Cup or won a gold medal, whatever. And that's great. It's an easier sell. But I also love working with the 16, 17-year-old player and watching their journey through to early 20s, and then see their social media following go up and their accolades go up and all the rest of it. So
how do you go about curating your relationships with your athletes? Is again, so obviously your transition into this is quite organic. Do you like to treat that exactly the same way?
100%. So a big thing for me that I say about, excuse me, the culture and DNA of my agency is that we attract, we don't recruit, right? So
smooth.
Yeah, thanks. Thank mum for that. She all that writing.
That creative writing.
Yeah.
Well, it comes down to doing a good job though, right? And spreading word of mouth.
Exactly that.
People,
So,
like,
a lot of sports agencies, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. And I'm probably a bit stupid in a way that I don't do more, hey, this is what we do. Have you got representation at the moment? Like selling a bit more of what we do. Maybe that's something I'll move into. But I always feel the best way to get a player on board, or to get a brand on board, or a rights holder, whoever, is to just let them see what we're about. Like delivery is the most important thing. So for me, it's very rare that I'll pitch to a player, and that's not me being arrogant, because there are a lot of agents who are bigger than me, who have been in the game for far longer. But for me, it's about, I don't need to, you know, I always use relationship analogies for sports agency. Like I would never say to a girl, oh, don't go out with that guy, right? Or I'm the guy that you should be with. If she sees it and she thinks that I'm the man for her, whatever, great. And it's the same in terms of sports agency. If an athlete sees what we do, what we've done for clients previously and what we're planning to do and what we're doing now, and they want to be a part of it, I love it. But you're never going to find us kind of knocking on the door, because I feel that organic is best.
So we obviously the whole point of this podcast, we like to talk about well-being and mental health and emotional health and stuff like that. So do you find you get quite invested in your athletes in that regard as well? Because half the reason why I wanted to get you on here, because I see your relationship, especially with your female clients. And that's what I was really, really interested in, because I can imagine obviously representing female clients to male clients can be vastly different.
Yeah, massively.
As much as we like to think that we're all the same, the fact of the matter is we're not. And I know you have a lot of strong women around you. So do you find that helps, or?
100%. I mean, I grew up in a family full of women. I'm an only child, for one.
Are you actually?
Yeah.
Snap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on. Love it. So
There's a few of you around.
You don't have only child syndrome.
I never did.
Everyone says that about me as well, so I'm like,
Really?
I feel strangely proud about
What
that.
does that, what does
What
that
do you mean,
mean?
really? You think I have only child syndrome?
Yeah, that's good. You dropped that in there nicely.
Yeah. No, I guess only child syndrome is like you're bratty, stubborn. Yes, spoiled. Everything has to be your way.
Oh, is that, okay. Oh yeah, I know a few now.
Yeah, you see
I
some
hope you're not
traits.
referencing me.
No. Again, I think when we first met, I was surprised. Again, like he was surprised that you were surprised that he was the only child.
Yeah, you don't come across like that at all.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have a very close-knit family. So even though I'm an only child, I've got quite a few cousins and, and friends of cousins or whatever, and we all grew up together. So I wasn't lonely growing up, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I was always, my mum had me, I mean, I did things like CYM, which is Centre for Young Musicians, on a Saturday. On a Monday, I'll be playing football.
Sports, does that mean like?
Yeah.
I think.
Wait, young musicians, did you play instruments? You were an avid recorder
I
player,
was
weren't
on
you?
Timpani, percussion. I did some
Triangle.
saxophone.
Wait, I read somewhere that you DJ'd as well.
What? No,
Is this true?
You probably tried it for a
No.
few weeks.
Was this a natural transition from your Saturday music school into
No. I've
DJing?
done some DJ sets, but that was that wasn't anything proper. I'm not a DJ. That's
Anyway, we digress.
yeah, we
gone way
digress.
off topic there.
I know, sorry.
So
I'm the worst at this.
with the athletes,
Yeah.
female and male, it's not just about money, building a brand.
Yeah.
Their personal, I'm sure you're dealing with a lot of their personal
Yeah.
baggage and issues that come
Yeah.
along the way. You know, if we think about the Simone Biles
Yeah.
withdrawal from the Olympics, right? Around mental health.
Naomi Osaka.
There's so many now, and so many of them are coming out talking about it because the stigma attached. You know, in the past you wouldn't dare speak about it, but now,
Yeah.
thankfully, people become more comfortable. How do you play a role in that?
So listen, for me, it's very simple. The first question I ask my players, not every day, but most days, is how are you feeling? And that's just a genuine, I'm not trying to be something I'm not. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a qualified psychologist. Nothing of that. Nothing like that. But we all as human beings have a base understanding of being able to read energy, right? And see if someone's been a bit quiet this week compared to others or whatever. But because life is so fast paced, especially in my world, and same with you guys, it's very easy to miss those signs. Because it's like, okay, I'm in this city Monday, now that travel corridors are open, I'm back I'm in Manchester in a few days, tomorrow night. I was in Southampton earlier on today. I'll be in Holland next week, all the rest of it. So if I'm not paying attention to the small details with my players, I could miss something, right? Because more often than not, you've got your teammates, if you're talking an athlete setting, who you see every day or most days. And sometimes those relationships can be quite transactional, right? Because just because you're teammates doesn't mean you're best mates, right? So that changing room dynamic can be quite a lonely place for a lot of athletes, because you're not going to just sit there and be like, oh, mate, I'm really struggling today. You know, you'll probably just talk top level banter, this, that,
It's a misconception, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like when I grew up playing ice hockey and many sports, and I suffer from anxiety, panic attacks. There's no way I'm going to talk to my ice hockey teammates about how I'm feeling anxious today and I don't want to play a game. They're going to be like, man up.
But do you think that's even the case now, even though mental health is now coming to the forefront? You still think it's the case?
In the changing room, for sure, because when you're with your team, and it's even hard if you play a solo sport, tennis, golf, because you're not around anyone apart from your physios or trainers or whatever. But in a team dynamic, in terms of being in a changing room, especially let's take a sport like ice hockey, that's all about dominating.
Yeah, man.
You know, so it's like you wouldn't even go in there with the mindset.
It'll be seen as weakness.
Yeah,
It'll be perceived as weakness from
for
people.
sure.
Whereas if you actually think of some of the highest performing athletes in the world, it's actually they're high functioning. They function at the highest level whilst having anxiety and depression and everything else. But sometimes it's also what the pressure they put on themselves is what makes them so amazing. But it comes at a cost.
So I need to get rid of the patriarchy.
But to answer your question, that is a big focus for me. Just asking my players, how are you?
Yeah.
And they might come back and, you know, I saw a thing, I can't remember where it was, must have been Twitter, asking twice. And this is just in general in life. Ask someone, how are you? They'll more often than not, 85%, 90% tell you, I'm fine.
Like reaction, yeah.
So you have to say, no, how are you? And then you're going to get a slightly deeper answer and things can unravel.
Another thing that can help with that is, which I've done a lot more, is just adding a word on the end of how are you feeling? Because that changes it. Because a lot of people are like, how are you? Like a casual thing, right? If you ask someone, how are you feeling? They have to give you, it initiates a response. So I know if I speak with my team, I say, how are you feeling today?
And do you find they generally tend to respond to you because you've curated that, you've created that relationship with them where
trust?
Yeah. And to your point, you know, talking about some of the female athletes in particular, it's, you know, for me as a man, I obviously have to tailor my, you know, I wouldn't have the same conversations with them that I have with my male athletes, right? Whether it's talking to the boys about, are you DMing any girls at the moment or whatever, just some basic banter. I might say that to some of my female clients, but it's just a slightly different dynamic, right? Where I'm a bit more cautious, and growing up with a family full of women, aunts, majority of my cousins have had girls and we're vastly outnumbered. It's anytime there's a boy born, I'm so buzzing. I love my goddaughter to death.
Yeah.
All my nieces are beautiful, but I'm like, oh my goodness, give me some XY chromosomes. But yeah, having that knowledge of what it was like growing up with them has helped me now massively. And yeah, you can't understate how important it is to just dig deeper. How are you feeling? It's such a good, I'm definitely going to use that in terms of what we do, because performance on the pitch starts with your mind.
100%.
Starts with your mind. Like
100%.
You'll see a lot of players, if they have a really bad game, and you know, us as fans, we'll watch a football game, think, he's missed a sitter or this or that. But it's not all the time. Sometimes they might just be having a bad game. But sometimes they'll be having something in their family life that's going on, personal life. Maybe the coach had an argument, or whether there's something behind the scenes that's causing them to not perform at 100%, because that's the foundation of it all. So yeah, it's really important to focus on that.
So just out of interest, how come you don't talk to your female and your male clients?
Clients, yeah.
The same.
Partners, yeah. I mean,
obviously you're having those conversations like who's in your DMs. Do you discuss mental health with your male athletes?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Those conversations are the same regardless in terms of emotion.
You're just saying from a banter perspective.
Yeah,
the type of banter you have with the boys may be different to the type of banter you have with the girls.
Like for example, I've got a goddaughter and a godson. When they're both 17, 18 and they're dating, God forbid, 27, 28. That's 40, when they're 48 and I let them start dating. I wouldn't ask them the same questions. You know, I think
I was more going from a
mental health perspective. Yeah, but I think it's just different. Definitely mental health.
Mental health perspective is the same.
I treat the same like female male employees.
Yeah,
same thing.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's, and you know, for me, I think that sets an important precedent, because if you take women's football, for example, I'm a lot harder on my women's football clients than I am my male clients, because the male guys are already making all the bread, right? They're already on big salaries. They already have millions of people watching their product, Premier League, Serie A, whatever. They're already not taken care of, because you still have to execute, but they're nice.
A lot easier. They don't have to work.
A lot easier. You could play League One and still earn a super comfortable living wage. If you're not playing WSL, which is Women's Super League, you're struggling. If you're champ and below in women's football, like, you're struggling. So I'm actually harder on my female clients in terms of the product that you put out on the pitch has to be better than what the guys are doing. That's just the reality of it.
It's a fact.
It's unfortunate, but yeah, you're right.
It's unfortunate, but that's just what it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
Yeah, of course.
And so I then make sure that mentally they understand what comes with that, right? It means you're going to have to train harder in terms of not just compared to, forget men now, in terms of just them, how they prepare their bodies and their minds. You know, we focus heavily on, I'm big in investing in my clients. A lot of agencies are, I'm not saying I'm the unicorn in that respect, but I'll hire sprint coaches, nutritionists, mental health coaches,
oh wow,
breath coaches, Like the full breadth, I go super in. Everything that I would have wanted when I was a player, I look to do. And the mental health, we've got a guy out in the US, a guy called Donnie Starkins, who focuses on, he works with a lot of NFL players, and it's like helping them concentrate on the moment. And
visualization.
Yeah, visualization.
Which is huge. They're doing that with a lot of athletes. I remember I was actually studying that in college, the whole visualization thing, how they're pushing that so forward.
It's been around for a while, but I think now in the women's game
already, you can.
But in the women's game,
in the UK, I don't know. Has it always been around the UK?
Well, in women's football, it's pretty much non-existent, because if the product isn't there in terms of being big and on TV and people talking about it, Match of the Day and all of this, then you're not gonna ever look to invest in the foundation of it, right? It doesn't make sense just from a revenue perspective. But for me, that's how they're going to bridge that gap, by focusing on the small details.
Yeah.
Then that will improve performance. Once performance improves, then you're going to get more audiences. Then that means channels are going to pay more money, etc. So, yeah, look, the mental side of things is important in every walk of life, but especially sport in particular.
Yeah. I always use visualization techniques when we play hockey. Like visualizing scoring a goal, visualizing winning, visualizing raising your hands with your one, like even dance. So my kind of dance style was like tutting, which is like geometric shapes of your hands.
Okay, yeah.
And I could make
or your feet,
hundreds of
step up ones.
I could visualize a set of moves, maybe like 16 counts in my head, and immediately do it without ever having to do it before.
I love that. Yeah.
And people are like, "Oh, you freestyling?" Or like, I could freestyle, but they'd think I'm not freestyling. The people are like, "Oh, you're freestyling." I mean, sorry, that's a routine. I'm like, no, it's not a routine. I'm just
the way you tut is like algebra. I don't know how you do it.
It's because I've visualized every single angle
It's mad.
Every angle that every joint can go. I've gone over in my head thousands of times. So when I'm actually going to do it, my body just knows. But I've never done it before. So sometimes I'll be sleeping and I'll think of, oh, that's a really cool combination, or that's a really thing. And in the morning I can do it. I go
Then you go and make it harder by adding skates in. To
yeah,
like, that's good. He is. It's just like, cool. So I've got the Titan down. Let me skate backwards whilst doing it.
Yeah, but
to see
we've got to see video. We'll show you after.
Unnecessary. Yeah, that's just unnecessary stuff. But yeah, the visualization is massive. Like even when I pitch clients, I used to do. It's funny. Like my wife came in the office a minute ago. When we were younger, something I used to do, which people might think is crazy, like I would pitch her. So
what do you mean, to go out with you?
No, I would pitch her.
Use her as a sound.
So I'd be like, here's.
That's what I thought you were saying.
You've seen her.
That's a sell as well. Don't get twisted. That's a sell as well, right? We're all selling ourselves in some respect. But like, I would like pretend I'd have my script, like she'd pretend to be a client, and I'll walk around the room and like do it. Like I'm mad. Like when I was like 17, like 18, and when I went into that pitch, I had already visualized winning a client, winning the deal, with them signing. Like I used to write the checks out in a checkbook of how much to sign for.
Jim Carrey did that.
And he had $1 million check, right? And then he cashed it. Maybe it was 10 million. It was a lot. I think it was $10 million.
There was zeros.
I think it was 10 mil, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was 10 mil. And I did that. And it sounds like back then, I remember from friends who used to laugh at me, like, why are you writing out these checks? Or like, why are you doing this? And I'm like, because this is going to be true. Last thing I'd say, I had a vision board where I'd put all the things, stick things on it. And the apartment that we bought, about 6 months after we moved in, I found a box of all my stuff in. I bought the apartment, not the exact apartment, but the floor plan. I didn't even know, subconsciously, the floor plan of our apartment was exactly the same as the picture.
That's mad.
The layout, where the sofa was, where the kitchen is, everything. And that had been on there for like 15 years. And I was like, oh my God, look at this. Like, this is what we just bought.
I love it when that happens.
That's on there. Do you know what I mean? Like visualization is massive.
And I'm big into quotes, right? Big into quotes. I've got a quote for every happening in life. And one of my favorites is, a really well-known one is, the separation is in the preparation. Right? A lot of people have heard that. I don't know if it was me who changed this. I'm sure someone has done it before me, but I changed it. Yeah,
it was you.
I'm gonna stand on this. I say the separation is in the iteration, like the repetition, right? Doing things over and over, visualizing. Because once it becomes routine, whatever it is, when you're doing a IG live, like I watch yours, you know what you're doing, which routine, which body part you're going into.
You're thinking about it. You know what part at that point.
You're not even thinking about it. And to your point, visualizing pitches or practicing.
Let me tell you the extreme of that, right? So if anyone who's thinking about pitching anything, so I used to write my script out hundreds of times manually while saying it. Then I record it and then I listen to it. That's how extreme I had. So I use every sense in the body, right? Or not every sense. Yeah, I did have smell, but I couldn't smell the pitch. But basically, yeah. So I'd write it out hundreds of times.
Smell the money.
Smell the money after, yeah. and then I had a MP3 of me. So on the way to work, to and from work, it's horrible to listen to yourself. Just to the point where it was just flows, man. Like it just. And anytime I wrote a new one, I did the same thing again. It was boring as hell, writing it out and again, listening to it, thing. But like you could ask me anything and I'd just be like, boom, boom, boom. Like even objections, right? So I'd write 50 reasons why the client would say no. And I'll memorize everything. They say I got no money. This is 10 responses if someone says I got no money, right? Extreme levels. But that's what, and then I had a little post-it note on my screen that said, the more you learn, the more you earn. It's proper cheesy. But like, that was the first time I fell in love with learning. Like in school, I dropped out of school, didn't get nothing, didn't get any grades. But for me, I was like, this is what learning is. You're telling me if I learn that, I can make thousands and thousands of pounds. And I was like, I'm in.
See, I'm kind of a mixture of both of you, because obviously as a personal trainer, people assume everything's selling. I've never sold PT in my life. I honestly, and it's funny, every time I do these like tests where they tell you about your personality and stuff like that, I always come up as creative and I always come up as a salesperson. But I've never sold anything in my life. I literally cannot stand.
They're the best salespeople though.
I hate selling, but however, I say that, but then mixing it up with your thing, with your saying, the
separation is in the iteration, yeah.
So how I've always done it is, I guess I sell myself as a person. So it's kind of a mixture of everything. If anyone sees me in my car, I am full on talking to myself all the time. I think this comes from being an only child.
Probably.
Because when I talk to people, I'm like, you don't talk to yourself. They're like, no, not out loud. I'm like, really? Like I walk around my house, I'm having a full on, I look like a madman, woman.
I'll do that as well.
Person.
You talk to yourself and no one's around.
Full on chatting to myself. I've got cats now, so I feel a little bit.
Really?
Regular, yeah.
Maybe it's an only child.
Tasha's a twin. She's not only child, but I think when we first moved in together, she's probably missed Natalie being there. So I'll be in the bedroom and I'll hear someone chatting away. I'll go and live with just her chatting to herself.
I'm literally going over
weird. So
a
you guys do that as well?
conversation with someone. So I'm imagining.
Oh my God.
Again, this could be a little bit of anxiety as well, but I will literally. So see how you're saying that all the options that could come out.
Yeah.
I'm literally having the conversation
Scenarios.
as if I am talking to the person, and I'm imagining their response, and then I'm responding. So again, like you, I'm coming up with all the different responses. But in terms of personal training, again, I never sell. I just kind of go in and going over movements and stuff like that. Yeah,
you are
helping. It's helping people. So it's kind of a mixture.
First of all, you're in shape, right? As I said, like you can't be personal trainer and be out of shape.
Trust
sorry.
me, there's a lot of them.
I know, but I'm sorry if I'm offending people, but you shouldn't. That's just for me. That's just crazy. And then at the same time, you are your product. They're seeing you do the workout. They're seeing you do the classes. They're seeing you do the things. So you don't need to tell them. Like you said, he doesn't need to tell people how great it is. His actions speak louder than the words, right? So they're seeing the product. They're seeing his athletes doing X, Y, and Z, winning this and another. That's what. Same with us. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
It's the ones that don't do that. They have to do a lot of selling to make up for for the rest. I get to a position where, because I've got to a certain level of the game, I don't have to sell anymore.
Yeah.
Like people want to speak to me. Like they're like, Chris, let's have a chat. And I'm like, you know, I'm going to sell you something, right? In my head, I don't say it to them.
Yeah, obviously.
I'm like, and they're like, oh, they're fans. That's the crazy thing. When the people you sell to become fans and they love you and your brand, it's weird. It's like, you want to talk to me. You do realize I want to sell you something, right? Like, and that's where you want to get to. You want to get to the level where, you know, we do podcasts every single day for free. We give. We spend like 80-90% of our time giving people stuff for free. So the moment we ask for something, they already know, like, and trust your brand.
Yeah.
So if anyone listening, that's one piece of advice I would get. Like, spend most of your time giving back to people rather than asking. See how you ask Hannah, how can I add value to your life? How can I add value to your life? Like, if you focus all your time and attention giving value, the amount of stuff that come back in return is crazy. But everyone else, the message they would ask. People just want to ask. The moment that I get someone who messages me on LinkedIn or something, so Chris, how can I help you? Then I reply. Yeah, then I reply. I'm like, and if they deliver on it, then some of those have become the best relationships.
And I guess that feeds back to obviously you creating your relationships with you're giving them value.
100%. I mean, look,
getting a friend out of it as well. Yeah, that sounds a bit cheesy.
And at a base level, for the most part, unless you're like an astrophysicist or someone very specific, we all offer the same thing, right? Whether it's sales, getting someone fitter, faster, stronger, slimmer, bigger, whatever. And in terms of my business, representing athletes, brands, rights holders, we all offer, when you boil it down, the same thing. So what's going to separate you is are you giving more than you're getting?
Yeah, 100%.
Is your personality like, if I'm under the bench or whatever, are you telling me to keep on pushing, or are you just letting the bar fall? You know, the uniqueness of how you train is what's going to separate you. And then for me, we've got like aesthetically, if you look at my social media and stuff, and I'm not overly active, but if I do put something up, it's always high quality, right? We've got an in-house content team, not quite as good as the setup you guys have here, but I'm going to have a chat with the team tomorrow, get on Amazon right away. But like, you know, that's something that separates me from other agents right from the jump. When I say, oh, I'm the best dressed agent in Europe, I don't care if anyone believes it or not.
Is that something you're known for?
100%.
I didn't know that, sorry.
Yeah, I say known for, this is a self-given.
I love the fact he was like, 100%. I felt the confidence come across the room. I was like, okay.
That's
no, but I love that. It's part of your brand.
It's part of the brand, and it's also just it keeps me reminding I need to separate myself.
That's another way you stand out, right?
Yeah.
We all have that, and like it's good to lean into it. Like when I first started our show, I was like a bit nervous because I was like, oh, I'm like an East London kid, like no education. Like who am I to be interviewing billionaires and like CEOs of billion-dollar companies? Like the imposter syndrome was mad. So I used to wear a shirt and tie and be clean shaven and talk and act a certain way. And at some point I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna be a Chris, man. And they love that because they're like, Chris, people message me like, I can't believe you said that. Or like, I can't believe you asked that question of that guest. And I'm like, I'm just being me at this point. Like that's another thing, your authenticity is a massive part of it. You try and betray, and you can't maintain that. It's exhausting. It's literally exhausting to constantly portray someone you're not, especially on social media. People do it. We all know some people in our friendship zone that you see their social media version of themselves and you're like,
actual version.
Who are you? That's not you. Do you know what I mean? When you lean into being who you are, it's amazing. And you attract the right people at that point.
But to your point on authenticity, we've just signed a mandate. So a mandate, just to, not that you guys wouldn't know, but just for anyone listening or watching who doesn't know, a mandate isn't specific to sports agency, but in sports agency, it's a contract or an agreement that says my agency, the Athletic Network, has authorization to negotiate partnerships for an athlete who's represented by another agent, but we have an agreement together. Right. So we've just signed one for US sprinter Sha'Carri Richardson.
Oh,
who,
sick.
If you've been following Tokyo and whatever, she's she's the face of track and field right now. She missed Tokyo because of a misdemeanor with a banned substance, and she's just about to run again.
That was a whole madness.
It's a whole different conversation. People are following the story, but also she's so authentic.
Yeah, she was really just like, this is what happened. This is how it is.
But not just about the reason that she missed Tokyo. When she won the trials, the first thing that she did is she ran up the stands, like past the stewards, etc., to go and hug her grandma. And embraced her grandma, who's looked after her from very young, and all the rest of it.
Nice.
She speaks openly about, racial equality and all of these things, and gender equality, irrespective of your sexual orientation, all the rest of it. So to your point about authenticity, that's right now what resonates, certainly in my world, in terms of if I have an athlete that I need to sell or I'm trying to sell, the realer they are, the easier my job is. Right?
You can connect with them.
But also that's what...
But are there agencies, though, just to counter that, do the opposite, where they try and build a personality and a brand for that athlete that they feel fits their agenda? Because sometimes I feel like that
happens for sure. If you think like back in the day, the pop world, Britney Spears and...
Oh, God,
they mold them, right?
Well.
And they package them in the way they want.
Yeah.
It's Disney kids.
Even, I guess, Beckham to a certain degree, it was very premeditated in terms of, let's get them at this event.
Yes, or let's get them with this brand because we can do X.
I remember even from my experiences being at certain dinners and in certain networks where an agent of someone might say, oh, why don't we get these two to go out? And like, it's very...
Oh, literally relationship-wise?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Because they can sell them. They're like a package deal. But like, again, like David Beckham and Victoria Beckham, they were a perfect PR and branding
Not
dream.
to say that they didn't love each other or whatever.
No, of course, but it just happens that like they were all of a sudden they're like Dolce & Gabbana deal, this Calvin Klein deal, and this is just...
So wrongs.
Yeah, so many things.
And the second you try and, mold a player like a piece of clay, you're on a very rocky road because human beings are susceptible to change, right? Who you are on the Monday, you might be saying fully vegan, you might want to eat a steak on Friday. And that's your right. Okay, but if you've started saying this, I'm that, because someone behind you has told you to, and then you want to change, all of a sudden there's going to be a clash. So I always say to my players, be who you are. Be 100% who you are, authentically. You know, for me, a big thing that I'm known for is wearing Crocs a lot of the time.
They're comfy.
Super comfy.
I heard this. I cannot get down with Crocs.
Yeah, no, the comfort's unbelievable. Easy on, easy off.
Just don't look at them.
No, I think they look good, but you know, I get bantered a lot for it. But that's what I like.
Yeah,
I'm not going to change it up for for anyone else. That's very base level, like whatever. But when you dig deeper, actually, if you're going to change who you are or what you like or what you want to do or what your dream is because of someone else or something
Tiring
else,
to keep up with.
It's so
exhausting,
tiring.
It's like look, going back, because obviously you were comparing stuff to a relationship. If you're in a relationship with someone, there's always that honeymoon period, and I'm going to be the first one to admit I did this when I was younger, where you create the best version of yourself. Like
you can't maintain it, man.
Shit, this is tiring.
You can't and then that's the thing when people. That's why, like, they got love you for everything. You're good, the bad.
I lead
your little quirks, all those little. Everyone has a little annoying
Things
quirks.
that might give you the ick.
Yeah, 100%.
You've got to lead with that stuff straight away. I'm like, look, this, this is me. If you don't like it, it's absolutely fine. Walk out the door now. Goodbye.
Yeah, like I couldn't go out with someone who has a dirty car.
So random.
Don't go in my car right now, but my car is terrible right now.
If you got a dirty car, I could not. I can't
That
run
drives
with
you
that
mad.
because I feel as though that's a reflection on.
Of them.
Well, not necessarily them. It's not that deep, but how you live your life. Like, or if someone just not necessarily eats really well, you don't have to be eating organic dinners every night. But if you're just like smashing Morley's or KFC and like not hydrating, I'm like, oh no, that's not for me, because you only got one body. You got to look after it. So. Yeah.
So wait, question: why are you not the best dressed agent in the world? And who is the best dressed agent in the world?
Well,
if you're not that person.
Listen, what I'll say is this: a lot of agents, for me, I started my own agency, so I never worked for another, which is absolutely like.
How did you start an agency with no experience?
Mate,
Just break everyone down. What was the first couple of steps you made? And along the way, because I started a company, so I know I didn't know nothing. I thought I knew a lot, didn't know nothing.
Yeah.
So where did you actually start? Did you build a website? Did you go to your friends and be like, boys, I'm doing my agency. Will you be my client? Like, how did you
I
start?
was lucky that I had relationships with top level athletes
already,
footballers, rugby players, Olympians who I mentioned, etc.
Didn't they already have?
Yeah. So I was able to be, because I was right on the inside of the bubble, seeing what their phone calls were like with their agents.
I see what you're saying. So you can
seeing how their agents worked with them. Did they pay them their ambassador fees on time? Was there this and that and da-da-da? So I was kind of gauging just behind the scenes what I wanted to do and also how I didn't want to be. But to your point, like, to be honest with you, I jumped out of a plane and built a parachute on the way down.
Dude, you literally, that's my expression. I explained.
Is that your one as well?
I use that. Obviously, we both stole that from God knows whoever made that.
I don't know, yeah. Shout out whoever it was.
Yeah, literally, every time someone says to me about starting a company, I'm like, literally, it's like jumping on an airplane and building a parachute. It really, and guess what? You got to pivot left, right, and center.
Oh,
like,
yeah. They say, write your plan in pencil, because it's likely going to change.
Man. Like, if I put a business plan, it will be 100% different from what I had said it was going to be when I started out. And every entrepreneur I've ever spoken to, their business plan went out the window.
I looked at my business plan when I was 18. Nowhere near.
What would you say is the biggest challenge then?
Man, I mean,
and even now, what's the biggest challenge of being at the top of your game in this industry, which is super competitive?
Well, I'm in a very competitive, because the onus is on me to deliver. Like, as an agent, you're directly responsible for whether your player is making money or not. Basically,
pressure,
I mean,
to an extent,
not 100%. Of course, the player has responsibility to perform, to turn up on time, to not argue with the coach, to do all these things. But when I wake up in the morning, I feel it's a privilege, but it is also a pressure to be like, okay, I have to be on point with my meetings today. I have to present myself in the best way possible today, because I'm not representing myself or just myself, but also players who are relying on me to generate income, essentially. And that's at the top level Premier League players, down to the 16-year-old academy player who's just coming up. Like, we have to put the building blocks in place regardless. So the biggest challenge for me is consistently delivering. And it's hard. I might be working on a deal. We've just closed out a deal for Lamborghini, which is really cool.
Congrats, nice.
Yeah, unbelievable brand.
When am I getting one?
Soon. It's actually in the esports space. I'm not sure if I can give you the full exclusive. It's in the esports space, and
it's massive. If anyone who hasn't, unless you've been asleep for the last like 5 years, esports is massive. Some of those esports athletes get paid more than some of the biggest sports athletes.
The fact that Lamborghini are in that space shows you it. Right?
Well, look, half the esports kids and stars drive around in Lamborghinis.
There you go. No, it makes sense, the deal. But we started that deal or negotiations for it maybe 16 months ago. We've just closed it. So you think about the pressure that comes with having to consistently navigate the waters of the deal being on, the deal being off, someone going on leave, someone coming back, having to present ideas in a virtual world because we couldn't fly out to Italy or to Singapore where the other company is based to present. So it's all virtual. So there's all of these different variables in there, and that's 16 months of doing that, right? So that's a big challenge to stay consistently on the ball, to not be too pushy. You'll know about not being too aggressive, letting answers come when they come. So I'd say that's the biggest thing, just trying to navigate the waters of a deal taking a potentially
and it's never ending,
time.
right? A part of your job is there's always another deal, there's always another athlete, there's always another thing you're doing. And I kind of resonate with running a company. No one told me going in that you're responsible. Obviously I knew it, but the pressure of being responsible for people's livelihoods, like that is the biggest stress. It's not even about my livelihood. Obviously I care about myself and my wife and my kids, but waking up sometimes in the morning going, wow, I've got like a whole company of people that I've got to pay salaries. And that's all on me. Like if that money's not there, how are they paying their mortgages or they're feeding their kids? You know what I mean? That people love the idea of being self-employed, of running the company. But when that hits you and you're like, I got to make payroll this month and it's not been a great month, that's when you realize people that really love what they want to do and they're passionate about it, or they like the idea.
Yeah, and everyone has CEO in their bio these days. Right?
Yeah, I know. Or entrepreneur. What does it mean anymore?
Entrepreneur.
Just trying to do something.
Yeah, which is fine. Like I'm never. One thing I never do is stamp on a person's tree. I love it. I love that there's so many CEOs, entrepreneurs out there, etc. But the vast majority haven't really taken the time to understand what being at the top of the food chain, so to speak, means. That means you're the first into battle.
So how do you handle that? Like, again, so obviously we were talking about mental health of your players before. You're in this fast-paced, fast-moving, it literally, there's never, obviously you do get your contracts, you get your end goal, but as you were saying, then there's always something else. So you never really get that downtime. So how do you cope with that?
I take time to decompress and reset. I call it a regeneration day. It's usually a Sunday for me. Okay. Where I unapologetically turn my phones off. Personal phone, work phone, see you later. It's off. Right. I might steam my face. I've got a steaming machine, get the beard going. Listen to some Nora Jones. This is true.
I love Nora Jones. I forgot about
I'll sit back. My mum bought me a meditation drum for my birthday. I don't know if you've come across them. You bang it. Yeah, like almost there's bowls.
Oh, that's what
sound
I was thinking.
bowls, and there's meditation drums. So you go dum, and then like the sound is supposed to do something with, I don't know, something to do with the neural activity in your brain, but it focuses you. So every Sunday, if I can, if I'm not at a game or whatever, I'll try and do that. When I wake up in the morning, my first instinct, as it is for all of us, is to go on our phones. I resist that, and I try and just look at the sky for 5 minutes, right? Because as soon as you wake up, you're rushed by sensory overload of sound, cars outside, flipping the toaster,
everything,
emails. Yeah. If you got a partner and kids,
daughter screaming,
your daughter screaming.
That's not my alarm anyway every morning.
Yeah, exactly. You got a human alarm. Like we're all overloaded by these sensory just bombardment. So you have to take a second before you get into the day. That's really important for me anyway. And I think that would work for a lot of people. If they just made that minor tweak, instead of just jumping in the day straight away, take a second, right? Think about what you've got to do and then tap in. That's big. But yeah, for me in my business, which is so fast paced, if I didn't do that and take time to listen to the voices in my head and sit down and have a chat with them,
chat with yourself,
chat with myself, then it'd be struggle city.
Have you read The Miracle Morning?
I haven't, no.
Have you read The Miracle Morning?
No.
Oh, it's a really good book. So basically, it's pretty much what you're doing anyway, but it's talking about getting up, read. It only has to be for like 3 or 5 minutes. Just read a couple pages, journal, exercise. Again, breathing exercise. It's a really good book. I recommend it for both of you.
Yeah, no, that's important. Just to, and I don't think it's specific to your industry.
No,
literally, if you're a human being,
I think
you need to do that.
Something I'm trying to get out of, which I'm still a culprit of it. Like most people wake up and they think about what have I got to do, or what don't I have, or you immediately focus on the negatives. Basically, a task, something I'll do, something I haven't got in life. So something I do, I don't even talk about. I just do it. When I wake up in the morning, I just think about, just have like that attitude of gratitude, to think about all the things that I'm grateful for. Because the first thing people normally do is look at the phone of what have I got to do to get X. It's always like this, you know, it's not a great way to start your day by doing that. So normally I wake up and I just like, even if I just sit on the edge of the bed, I'm just like, normally Tasha's in the kitchen with like Robin, and I'm like, all right, what am I grateful for today? Before I start thinking about tasks, sales, podcasts, everything, I'm like, what am I grateful for? And then the rest of my day, you set the tone for the rest of your day. You know, have you ever heard people that are like, oh, I had a really bad morning, and then the rest of the day is shit? That's the reason why that is, because that's the tone you started your day. So it's important to start like you're saying your day in a positive way, even if you're having a terrible week.
I'm a very much speak it into existence type of person.
Yeah. Well, that's the same with journaling, right?
Yeah.
Like, or saying it out loud. So sometimes I do my affirmations. I'll obviously think about what I'm grateful for. Then I'll have affirmations, and then saying them out loud. Sometimes it's a bit weird when other people are around. So just sometimes I'm doing brushing my teeth and I'll say like, I am affirmations. I am successful.
Spit
I am
toothpaste all over the mirror.
I even sleep with a MP3, a 7-hour MP3 that basically just says whatever I want to achieve over and over again, thousands of times whilst I sleep. Yeah, because your subconscious mind is awake at night. So even though your conscious mind goes to sleep, subconscious mind is always awake, which is why we never, back in the day, we never got eaten in our sleep, because our subconscious mind is like, Predator, wake up, right? Same way you can learn stuff. I've learned many things in my sleep, which sounds crazy to people, but if you look at it, you can learn during your sleep by listening to it.
Dance routines. Yeah. There's one routine, and I could not for the life of me get it. And we had a show the next day, and I was panicking. Do you know Kenji?
Yeah.
Because his routines, I always said like, Titan, it's like algebra, it's like maths. Learn it. I was like, I cannot get this. And I fell asleep, and I was doing the routine in my sleep, and I was smashing it. Didn't make one mistake. Next day, I didn't make one mistake.
It's the same example I was talking about earlier. You can do it like physical and like, if you want to learn something, like you go on YouTube right now and you want to listen and just write positive affirmation playlist. There's like hours of playlists, whether it's I want to make money or I want to get over this fear. Just listen to it while you're sleeping. It doesn't even cost you anything. Literally, go to sleep. And it just plays. And when I wake up in the morning, I have one which is I am successful, I am this, I am. And when I wake up in the morning, I am so pumped, because all my body's heard and my brain's heard for the last 8 hours is I am successful. I'm going to close this deal. Like, there's a playlist. I'll put it in the description of this show if anyone randomly wants to listen to it. And when I wake up in the morning, on my days, I'm ready to go.
I do listen to stuff, but I listen to, I guess it's a mixture of meditation and stuff. It's 432 hertz. So it's meant to be the frequency at which nature, so it's meant to ground you. So it's meant to be the frequency at which nature vibrates at.
So
and I can't explain it, but there's one noise in it. There's a specific one that I listen to that I love, because there's one noise in it and I'll be sleeping and I can't even explain it. It's like it throws me deeper. Like, you see, if you get into those deep meditations, all of a sudden you're like, and you hit the meditation. That one noise in this specific one that I listen to, it just pushes me back, boy. And so I need it to be grounded, because I feel like I'm always, again, as a personal trainer, and probably for you as well with your athletes, you're in this constant state of giving yourself to other people willingly. I want to do it because selfishly you get back from it as well. Yeah. It's not just me giving myself. Like, I do get back when they get their results and they feel good. It inadvertently makes me feel good about myself. Yeah. But when you are constantly giving yourself to other people, you do need that time to just be like, cool.
Yeah. And you have to understand as well, a big thing is that there are many different types of fatigue. People
100%.
attribute the word tiredness to being physically, oh mate, I'm shattered, I need to sleep. But there's emotional fatigue. Like, I might have a player who's going through it. They've been out for half a year with injury. The coach isn't playing them. we had a deal on the table for them which fell through last minute. So the emotional roller coaster they go on, I also go on with them,
100%.
right? There's also obviously the physical that we've spoken about. There's also mental, just the mental energy that you use for me to, okay, so tonight I'm talking with Japan, so I need to address things a certain way. I need to be on the Zoom call 10 minutes early because they're really focused on punctuality. Tomorrow morning, I've got a call with a German skateboarder, right? So the dynamic of the tone of the conversations, a complete antithesis. It's
Same
like
with
opposite.
me, man. I get that.
Yeah. So the mental, so you got 3 already there. Physically, all the traveling, emotional, the ups and downs, the mental tiredness of having to change things up. So you have to focus on all of those. And something that we're getting better at now as a civilization is being unapologetic about filling those back up. Like back in the day, it used to be the thing to be run down, right?
No, people used to glorify, like
Glamorize it.
I worked this many hours, or I did this. I went in a weekend, and it's like, oh, well done. Like even in my previous sales roles, it was the same thing. Like, but you know, for physical, people will like if you're physically sick, it's fine. But if you're mentally sick, it wasn't fine. So like, you know, that was the difference. And I feel like
switching now.
We're we're making headway on. I don't feel like we're definitely not fully there, not. But like now, like I can say to my team, like, guys, I'm not feeling great. Like I'm not going to be in like mentally.
It's a conversation, whereas before I don't even think it was a conversation that could even be had.
It's changed up,
And it's good to, like, again, we were talking about earlier, like a lot of the athletes coming out because they have a big brand, they have a big following, so it really helps when you see someone as successful as Simone Biles or any other athletes come out. It gives people courage. If she can do it, who's won more gold medals than anyone, I think, or maybe not Michael Phelps. She close? Anyway, close enough.
She's close,
but it's a lot.
Definitely the
most
most
It doesn't really matter at this
gymnast.
point. It's a lot, right?
She's killing it.
Yeah, exactly. If those people come out and talk about it, right, it encourages everyone else because it's always been associated with weakness. But again, some of the most successful entrepreneurs, billionaires that I've spoken to struggle with anxiety. And like you were talking about the different things earlier, I'm never really physically exhausted. It's always mental for me personally. I'm like, when I need to recharge, it's not because I'm physically tired. I would say 90% of the time it's because I just burn myself out because I'm going 1,000 miles an hour or doing like a 8-hour live stream for one of our events. The next day I am done. And I haven't moved out of a chair. I'm not physically tired, am I? I've sat there for 8 hours, but I am dead. Like my brain's done for like a day and a half.
Yeah, and for me, like on a shoot day, we'll have an athlete. Let's say we're doing a shoot day with one of the brands, sportswear brands, Nike, Adidas, whoever. I'll be on set and we're making sure the athlete's okay. He or she might have lines to say. They might have certain outfit they've got to wear, all the rest of it. And more often than not, you've got other people from the different teams handling that. That's also something we like to be involved in. And so even though I'm off screen, I'm behind the camera, right? But throughout the day, you're making sure that everything's running smoothly, all the rest of it. I'll get to the end of that day, I'm more tired than when I used to be a rugby player, playing a sevens tournament. Not even a workout, like playing an actual
whole tournament.
Getting Samoan guys running over the top of me. Nose broken, leg, you know, I feel more tired after being on set. So, yeah, it's just important. People often don't focus on replenishing that way or resetting those intangibles because it's harder. But if you pay attention to it, oh man, you'll be flying for sure.
What advice would you give to, like, if there are already, like, I'm sure there are some future athletes, stars, hopefully listening right now.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to them when considering management?
So the most important thing, and whenever I meet a player that we're talking about signing or I'm just meeting them and their family for the first time, whatever, I say to them, and they always look at me like I'm wearing pink lipstick when I say this, go and speak to other agents. I genuinely say that.
So you know for certain.
Yeah. The same way to take it back.
Because you could be saying anything, basically.
Well, you have to be certain in your
reference.
choices.
There's no reference, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's no reference. You just like, what do you know?
But also, you're doing two things. Like, to answer your question, if a player is looking for management or if management is looking for them and initiating those conversations, representation, whatever, and the agency is pushing you to sign, that's a bad sign, right? That should be a red flag right there. Because the relationship that you have, like for me, I look to sign players for life. Like in my head, the same way that if I was to get a girlfriend, I'd be looking to go out of her for life. I'm not just getting a girlfriend for the summer or for a year. It should be the same thing in terms of the players that you work with. I'm looking to be with you through the highs, the lows, the ups and the downs. If we're riding till the wheels fall off, right? That's how I'm built, and that's how the agency is built, and that's the culture of what we do, and that's a really big thing. A lot of agencies, we have done deals for athletes from agencies far bigger than ours, right? Big names and in big leagues, and the reason for that, reason we've been able to get in those positions, because we have a real culture and DNA, like non-negotiables, right? So we got 4 core values. Believe that you're the best. So what we've been speaking about mindset. If you come to me, right, and I say, what's the plan for your career? And you go, I'll be happy with League 1, League 2.
Bye, Felicia.
See you later. No, you're not for us. Not for us. You could end up making lots of money and maybe I'll miss out. But I'd rather sacrifice that to work with a player who says, Akin, I want to be top dog. I want to be the best that there's ever been. That, at least your mindset's in the right place. Whether you'll get there or not, there's lots of things that have to fall into place for you to get there. But at least number one. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, don't talk about it, do. Like, I hate just...
I'm with you on that.
I want to do, or I might do.
Even the language, like you just said.
Jump out the airplane.
Jump out the airplane. Yeah, let's go.
I don't know how. Do it then, you learn how.
Do it. My mum used to say, you know, when I spoke about the diary about my day, I'd say to her, because you made a funny joke, but I'd say to her, I don't know what to write. And she'd say, write, I don't know what to write.
And it would start, and you probably found...
And I'd start doing it, and then I'd say, I don't know what to write, like 5 lines, and then I don't know what to write, but I... And then the sentence would slowly, but you know? So it's like, don't talk, do. The third is, we did believe, the third is make sure that you're not someone else isn't wanting it more for you than you want it for yourself.
Do you get a lot of players where their families and parents want it more than them?
100%.
As an example, you always see those parents in it, like pushing their kids into things,
Dance
and children. Dance mums.
Oh, dance mums. I'm sure you guys have seen that.
In any sport, you get them. Like any sport you play. Like my mum wasn't like that, actually. She was like, do what you want, do it. And if you enjoy it, carry on doing it. If you don't, then don't.
That was literally my mum, as long as you're happy.
Like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
my mum's not pushy.
But having core values in whatever you do, even in personal training, like some personal trainers I'm sure would be okay with a client turning up late, let's say. For me personally, that's a big no-no as well. It's like, because, you know, my time is important, so is yours, and it's about setting a precedent.
It's respect.
Yeah. So to kind of run it back in terms of what I would say to a potential or an athlete looking for management, ask what the company's core values are. Like, what are they
about? That's a good one. If they haven't even got core values, then immediately. And also, like, your values need to align with their values, right? Same thing that when I'm hiring an employee, it needs to align with our values. Because if you haven't got that, then if they can't even answer the question, it's already a no. There's a red flag there. And if they do answer the question, do their values align with yours? Because when times are tough, like for us, like whenever times are going crazy, our decision making, we make decisions based on our values. So we're like, this is a decision we've got to make. Is it aligned with our values? Okay, great, do it. If it's not, it might be like a lucrative deal actually, but that company isn't aligned with our values. So we're going to say no and walk away. And like our employees appreciate that. They're
your
like,
values are your foundations. It's like you're trying to build a skyscraper in mud. It's not going to happen. At some point, it's going to tumble.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure that your values, you've got your pillars. So you've got your, wait, you've only given us 3. Believe. Don't say
believe do. With all your being that you're the best. Don't say do.
Don't let someone else want it more
want
for you
it
than
more
you do.
for you. Oh my God, what's the 4th?
Under pressure.
Under pressure.
What's the 4th? Did I not do 4?
I feel like I actually wrote them down
Don't worry
somewhere.
about it.
I've got it somewhere.
No, I'm going to make you worry about it.
The 4th core value. There is one, but we've only
don't have to worry about it.
No. We only added that recently. There were 3, and we just added a 4th. But
you got your 4 pillars.
I'll run it back. I'll tweet it. Yeah. But yeah,
it's important though, man. Like that's something, especially in this day and age. I think more than ever. For me, like even with clients, customers, anything, I'm like, is that aligned with what we're doing? No, not doing it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I've had to walk away from money, like even some super talented people, because, for example, they're not going to turn up on time, but they might be your best salesperson and make tons of money, but they're going to disrespect the team by not being here on time.
And in the long term, it throws things off.
Everything off.
Yeah.
And people make exceptions for that. I've worked in companies where if you're a top salesperson, you can get away with anything, or top performer, like some of the best football players, right? They're absolute dickheads off the pitch, but they're like so good that people let them get away with it.
Yeah.
Or any superstar, celebrities and stuff like that, they get away with crazy stuff because they're, and I feel like you've already lost.
Yeah.
If you're letting that behavior go, you know, it's the weakest link.
Yeah. And for me, I'm really lucky that we've done deals, especially in the commercial side, so off the pitch, we've done deals with brands who literally are set the tone for their industry. Lamborghini, if you think of luxury automobiles, you think of Lambo straight away. Right? And doing bits with Apple, for example, or the Nikes and the Adidases of the world. And I focus heavily on looking at their processes, how they do things.
Of course.
Lamborghini, oh my God. First of all, for us to even get to a position where we could
talk to them,
and then essentially represent them and broker a deal for them was... I've never gone through a vetting process like
crazy,
16 months.
Oh my God, pretty much.
I've been there. It's crazy.
Out of the 16, probably 12 was them analysing how we move and doing those things. And they ask you questions like, why do we need you? They'll say that to you. Why do we need you?
I think it's also fair enough. It's Lamborghini.
Yeah. But then again,
if you can't answer that question, if you can't answer the question, then you shouldn't be in business.
Yeah.
Of why do we
believe you're the best?
Well, I came back and we said to them, look, we already had the deal in place at that time.
Yeah.
So we've brought you something that you obviously couldn't get without us.
Oh, do you want me talking? Call them bluff.
Yeah. So next question, please.
Next question, please.
Kind of thing. But I focus heavily.
Do it.
Yeah, there you go. But it's about analysing. It's all good and well to be doing a deal with someone like Lambo, but if you're not having a look at what they do and then kind of fusing that into your own, you don't have to be a big sports agent, right? Or a top PT or a top salesman. You could be doing anything. You could be working a night shift at Morrison's, but are you looking at how you can get better and who's at the top of the game? What are their processes like? And you can always fuse that into what you're doing if you want to. Yeah. If you want to get better, you know. I always say, like, I would be a bin.
I've learned so much from our competitors and customers.
Yeah,
about their process, even
100%.
Like crazy stuff, even like contracts, negotiation. I'm like, oh, that's what you do. Okay, I'm gonna ask that next time.
How an invoice is put together,
or how they get payment terms, like all sorts of crazy stuff along the way. But it's by doing it, like we've said a million times during this podcast. If people haven't already got that already, it's in the doing.
The iteration is so important. Yeah. And like I always say, look, I'd be a bin man tomorrow if it meant reaching my goal of being a top agent. If someone said to me, Akin, that's what you're gonna have to do.
Most people don't. The thing is, most people love the idea of these things, but when they realize of what they got to do, like I'm the CEO of this company, but I'm still here. I just literally took the bins out a minute ago before we started the show. I'm not asking the employee to take the bins out, or like I'm here late editing, or I'm here like building shelves. Literally spent like we're a multi-million pound company, but I sat here for 4 or 5 hours building on shelves on the weekend.
But it's ego. You need to learn to drop your ego, and your ego is this sense of self that isn't actually you or your core values. That's you.
For me, I wouldn't ask anyone to do something I won't be willing to do myself.
Exactly.
And the way I look at it is I work for my employees, not the other way around. That's the big mindset shift I had to learn early on. Is like they do not work for me. I work for them. You work for your employees, because without your employees, there is no company.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, my company, it's just a name. Anyone can register on company's house a company name and say you're a CEO. They mean nothing. It's the people which make up the organization. So I work for them. I'm like, how can I remove bottlenecks for Hannah and make Hannah be able to move that step closer to what she wants to achieve? That's my goal. And then, of course, I've got to create the strategic vision of how we're going to get there and the product.
But that's a proper leader. That's a proper leader. Like, leading isn't just getting the money and then divvying it up and da-da-da. Leading is about, am I empowering my team so that, one day maybe they'll leave. Like, I've got an in-house production team, videographers, all the rest of it. We got people who work with me on the commercial side. One day maybe they'll start their own agency. That's what I want. I want to get them to a level where they're good.
That's the hard part in it that people don't get. Like, I used to resent that early in my career. And I'd train up these like ninja salespeople that would make tons of money. And they would obviously make tons of money for me. Yeah. And they would leave and I'd be like, oh. And then as I got more mature and realized, I was like, amazing. Like, you know, I used to
Again, you drop the
celebrate.
ego. It's the ego that's the issue.
Yeah,
not
but it's
you as a
hard, right? It's
person.
like it's something that people are not wired that way. They're all about me. You know, me. Even when I quit, you know, I was in my company for over 10 years, and when I resigned, my manager, who I'd made millions of pounds for, literally, I was thinking they're gonna be like, you know, great Chris, you know, if you need a reference, Chris, if you leave, we're gonna sue you. And then 2 weeks later, I got a letter from my door, non-compete, you can't work in the industry.
No.
That's the thanks I got, right? So rather than that person being like, thank you so much, you know, for everything, Chris, like, good luck, you know, if he needs you.
Middle finger.
Yeah, exactly,
Times
right?
2.
Exactly. And then the jokes is, I think like 3 or 4 months later, the owner of his company were like, can I come on your show, Chris, as a guest? And I was like, you know, you're suing me right now, right? Your company is actually suing me right now. And he was like, no, I love what you're doing. I'm coming on the show. Obviously they dropped it, but that's like most of the time, you're right. Like the success is seen and grow and developed and move on. Like one of my employees quit my team, started a competitor company and became a millionaire. And I was like, I resented it for a little bit early on. And I was like, how amazing, how inspiring is that? And then years later, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go and do that now. And then I started this company. It took me a little bit more time to build the confidence to get there as well. But no one has the answers and no one knows what they're doing. The only way to do it is just to do it. Do you get requests from your people you represent about what brands they want to work with?
Yeah, it's very best.
I'm sure they have this like wish, like dream list of companies they want.
Yeah, Christmas
I want to
list.
be a Nike athlete. I want to be this. I want to be. Do you have that?
100%. And a big part of what we do is about managing expectations, and also it's about climate. By climate, I don't mean the weather. Where's the market right now, right? So a player might come to me, say, Ax, I really want a Nike boot deal. Okay, but at the moment, not saying right now, but there are times when Nike aren't looking to sign a particular athlete from that sport. Let's say football.
Because they have their own strategies and own goals. And
exactly.
You understand that side as part of your job.
Our job,
the process.
Yeah, our job is to understand the climate at each particular time. You know, there's a football World Cup coming up next December in the Middle East. So there's a higher likelihood of a sportswear brand looking to invest in football than there is in rugby right now, or tennis, because all eyes are going to be...
Or skating, you mentioned earlier.
Skateboarding.
Now it's been
wearing the Nigers.
Yeah. I started skating again. I was skating growing up, but like now seeing it going into the Olympics, I saw so many brands jump on the bandwagon.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I was like, oh, now it's cool, is it? Like when I grew up skating, like, no, you'd never see Nike. Obviously, they've been around. Actually, Nike have been in it for a bit, for quite a minute.
But not mainstream. It wasn't a big part.
It's always like a couple of shoes.
Yeah.
But now, like since the Olympics, I'm seeing like every sort of endorsement all over the place for all these athletes, and these kids are now becoming superstars that have been in the game for a hot minute because the climate's right. Right, they know the companies know they can make money. They know it's going to be seen by millions of people on TV.
Especially
so
Gen Z as well.
Yeah, all of that. It's like just the perfect storm to get involved. So you know that, and like you mentioned skateboarding earlier. Similar with which if you're not on, you should definitely get on. I'm sure you're already on top of the game already. But you know, next Olympics we have breakdancing.
Yeah.
So breakdancing in the Olympics. So
and esports.
Yeah, and esports. Right. So getting in there now and getting in those top athletes who are going to be competing in breakdancing in Olympics.
Paris.
You already know, man. Like the brands for breakdancers. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You know, when I did World of Dances, which was a big event, I did sponsorship for them for the UK event.
Oh, sick.
And as soon as I picked up the phone to like Uber, Monster Energy drinks, Bose, I signed deals with them. I've never done that before, but I just know how to sell. I signed deals with them instantly.
Yeah.
They're like, breakdancing?
Because they know it's coming through.
They know that it's the demographic, right?
Yeah.
Chris, who's your demographic? Boom. How many social media followers you got? Oh, we had like 20-something million subscribers on YouTube for World of Dance. What? 20? Okay. You know, and I was like, this is the deal. This is the terms. Like, boom. And I was like, I remember, because obviously I'm a passion. I danced, but then combining like the passion of dance that I have and then in sales, I was like, oh my God, we get paid fuck all as dancers. But in this context of doing this big event, they're willing to throw money like no one's business out there.
And every bit of that breakdancer will be an advertising opportunity. Like I'm sure they'll be wearing knee pads, maybe elbow pads, whatever. Obviously,
so many.
Like you're essentially a billboard.
One of the sponsorship deals we did is that the crew that won the show would wear, I think it was like Puma, and do an advert for Puma.
Mm-hmm.
So like that was it. They basically dressed them head to toe in Puma, right? And they just did it like whatever they did, and that was the deal. Like just that was the deal. You know what I mean? Or even the trophies, right? That you give them.
Yeah.
Was
A certain brand. Or...
Yeah, it was like an Air Force One trophy.
Oh yeah.
But it was like
a shoe.
A shoe trophy. Like there's like, and it was like they'll pay like 20 grand for that. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy, man. Like seeing these emerging sports, and the esports is just a madness.
And a big part of it, I always
it's
say,
exciting for you then, because there's always like new things coming out.
Just about to say, it's about predicting where things are going to go.
And you can get on it early, get them signed, get them early on, knowing that you can invest in them. So when B-Boy hits the Olympics, because we've known about that for time. That was announced time ago that the breakdancing was in the Olympics.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering who are the agents like yourself or many others that were like, let me get in there now. There's no money there right now, but if we treat these guys right, help them build their brand, their social media following, when we get to that position, crazy.
Jumping on any breakdancers?
It might be a thing that happens. The talent will have to be the right fit. Like we said, the core values don't change.
You're gonna be the best at what you want to do, yeah.
But you know, especially with seeing the way skateboarding, like in the Olympics, that was one of the most talked about.
It was
bits of it.
Showing everything. It's exciting.
We got silver and a gold.
Yeah. 13-year-old won.
Yeah,
and
13.
We didn't get silver and gold. In
Sure we
skateboarding?
did.
No, that was in the bike and BMX.
we got.
Oh, wow.
We definitely got a medal though in
the
skateboarding. Sky Brown, I think her name was.
She got silver, right?
Oh,
The
gold.
13-year-old.
Yeah.
Oh, no, she might.
Gold
No,
or
wait. I
silver?
may be remixing.
She got a
She did
medal
place, yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, but
But
anyway.
13
Definitely ain't got
how
gold.
does a 13-year-old cope with that kind of pressure? That's crazy to me.
It's not pressure, because they've been.
She loves what she does.
No, they've been skating in skate parks, falling on their faces since they're forever. Like since
Yeah,
forever.
true.
Like if you're a skater, like yes, obviously there's pressure of skating and
I'm
performing.
more thinking about the people, you're being interviewed. Yeah, you've been
That part's going to be, listen, it's going to be more scary for them to be on the camera being interviewed after than it is in the skate park. Guarantee you.
That's what I'm talking
Oh,
about
is
in
that
terms
what you're
of the
saying? Okay,
pressure.
yeah,
the
the brand.
skating, yeah, that's
Oh, 100%,
second
that's what I'm
nature.
saying.
But
Like,
she's got to deal with probably agents. She's got to deal with multiple interviews.
at that point.
She got Nike do, I think, Sky Brown as well.
Of course.
Yeah.
Like at that, yeah. And but you do realize though, like I know some skaters in the past when I used to do it, like I'm not sure now, but I hear them talking about it. I watch a lot of skate vlogs. Even now though, the deals that they have is some cases not a lot. It's like you might see them wearing like a Monster Energy hat. They get paid like peanuts for that.
Yeah.
Basically, until they get to a certain.
A lot of it.
If you're Nigel Houston, that's a whole other.
performance-based.
Yeah, if you're Nigel selling these trainers, which are his own custom like trainers, that I've
I'm not gonna lie, I don't know who that is.
he's
Tatted
the
up.
best skateboarder on the planet.
Fantastic. I still don't know who he is.
Nigel Houston. You know who Nigel Houston is?
No.
Wow. He's the best skateboarder on the planet, basically. He's won
I'll take your word
everything
for it.
multiple times. Yeah, he's
Sick.
He's the best.
I'm gonna Google him after this.
Yeah. Anyways.
I'm aware we've kept you here for quite a long time, so
yeah.
let's start to round up.
One question I want to ask. What's your vision for the business?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure, obviously, is it just to add more and more people on it, or is it keep it small, nimble? You know, what's your vision?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good question. For me, I really focus on vision as well. Like, where are we going as an agency? My tagline, so to speak, is we're the next stage in the evolution of athlete representation. And it sounds great, but I also live that in terms of how we announce deals. There's been no sports agent that's brokered a deal for Lamborghini, for example.
Bam.
When we bring that to life, it's about how we, again, separate ourselves from other agencies, but more importantly, delivering for clients, making sure that we're focusing on that. So for me, it's about being as diverse as possible. Breakdancing and things like that are really interesting to me because I don't just want to be football, rugby, Olympic sports. Those are great, and that'll always be our foundation. But what else can we do? What stories can we tell? Like, we got an in-house production team, which isn't unheard of for a sports agency, but it's certainly quite rare to have a team dedicated to storytelling. Like, for athletes who, some of them, when you sign them, aren't making you any money, so you're losing money. Like, you're paying for equipment and filming days and all the rest of it.
But you understand that's the investment, like you said earlier, right?
100%. It's long term. So for me, really bringing that to life and creating original content is going to be a big part of the agency moving forwards. In terms of numbers, I'm not fussed. If I sign 10 athletes from now to the end of my career, I'm happy. Because if they're the right ones for us and they believe in what we're doing and we believe in them, I'm good. If it's 100, no problem. But there has to be that relationship there. That's really important. And then outside of that, I also have a foundation, the ASC Foundation, Akin Solanke.
Come on.
Caulker.
He's an absolute corker.
That's a corker.
Come on, that's how I remember it now.
I'm second guessing myself.
Yeah.
And Solanke, which is ironic.
The ASC Foundation, so that's about nurturing, guiding, and educating the next generation of talent managers. Because when I came into the game...
Oh, that's amazing.
I think a thing was, first of all, I'm a confident guy, which is great. And I already had a network of players and brands and all the rest of it. So a lot of people who were already in the business were hesitant to give me a leg up. And to be honest, I say it's that, but it's also just it's very much an old boys club. So people aren't...
You're kind of disrupting or from what I know, little that I know, and what I've heard from you, you're really like disrupting what this industry looks like.
Oh, for sure. Like
what people used to do.
Creating the new landscape.
We're bringing vlogs to life, like day in the life vlogs of what a sports agent does. And
normally a sport agent would outsource that, whereas you're making that part of the DNA in your brand.
Yeah, exactly.
To build that digital footprint for people.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't have an online presence, you don't exist, let's be honest.
Yeah.
In this day and age. And you're adding that as part of your toolkit to help people succeed.
Absolutely. So, the foundation is a big part of... I think it feeds back into the agency side and why we've managed to do these deals, because it's not just about me. I'm like, look, I want to send the ladder back down for the kid, irrespective of where you're from. Super privileged background, got absolutely nothing. I don't care. Like, I'm not from money.
Yeah.
My family aren't super wealthy. They gave me a lot growing up, for sure, and I was... definitely had more advantages than other people that I grew up with in Stoke Newington. But with that being said, there are people that I went to school with in Hampshire for whereas however much a term, who are working relatively, let's say, normal jobs, 9 to 5s, whatever. And there are people in Stoke Newington who I went to school with who are millionaires, right? And who have absolutely smashed it. So people talk about, being a product of your environment. I say, bollocks, we're allowed to swear, right?
You do what you want.
I mean, we've been swearing the entire time, so you're absolutely fine.
I don't.
And you said bollocks. I wouldn't really.
Yeah, I know. I don't usually swear, but like, product of your environment, in my opinion, isn't a thing. Maybe back in the day, it was.
Or it is in people's minds, though.
It's a construct.
It's literally like limiting beliefs. Is like, I grew up on a council estate, single parent, 4 kids, drugs, alcohol, violence. Like, if I use all of that as an excuse, I definitely want to be here today. You either use it as an excuse. So those of my friends that go, yeah, but I grew up with this, and they just use it as like an excuse basically for everything. Whereas for me, I flipped it and was like, it was my motivation to be able to pay off debts, to be able to be, the first in my family to own a house, run a business.
Love it,
give back and everything else.
Create that like generational wealth.
100%. For me, it was like
not physical wealth, like mental.
That's what I'm saying. When times get hard, I'm like thinking about those days where, like, we had nothing, or I was living in like a council, like a 1-bedroom flat with my mum and 4 kids, or like the fact that we used to have to get loans out to have Christmas dinner and Christmas presents, and pay off the loan for the rest of the year. Mad. Like, just like people don't know about that life, and you've got people knocking on your door, debt collectors on the knocking on your house. It's your mum in. Chasing the debt, like the fucking loan shark.
You ever remain kind of in that environment that gives you the drive to...
It's all mental, like it's state of mind. And that's something I learned from interviewing crazy successful people. I was like, in the beginning, I was like really like nervous and stuff like that. And I was like, you're just the same as me.
Yeah.
Once I got to know them, I was like, the difference between me and you is not that I'm not smart and you're smarter, is you have a rich mindset. Your mindset is always thinking, I am going to win this deal, I am going to do this. And it's just, I'm like, wow, like the money with relationship was different. No, the relationship with money, was different. I was like, oh my God. Now I remember that just happening. I was sitting down with a guy who was worth like 40 billion, owns like half of Miami. And I was sitting in a meeting with him, just talking to him, dyslexic, didn't go to school.
Probably not overly confident.
No, I was just like, oh my God. And he was just telling me, and it was just pure hustle, man. And just like the ability to like learn, like understand that if he doesn't know something, he can hire someone with that skill set that can do it, or he can learn. It was as simple as that. It was like, if I don't know it and if I don't need to do it, I'll hire someone with specialist skills. And I was just like, oh my God, this is just crazy. Like, there's no excuse. It's all in here.
With your foundation, are you looking to push that? Because I know you're saying you're going for the younger athletes. Are you looking to push that in schools? Or are you going into...
Yeah.
Are you pushing it in schools already?
So yeah, and the foundation's specific to talent managers, so not anything to do with athletes.
Okay.
But it's about, if you want to be an agent, right? Because this business, looking at it from the outside in, people think it's...
Glamorous.
And it is glamorous. There's a lot of hard work.
Glamorous, but...
There's a lot of grind, but also there's no specific entry point. I think you asked, how did you get into it? Well, I got into it because I had a relationship with athletes who played at the top level, England Rugby, England Football, Team GB Athletics, etc. And I knew them and they trusted me to broker deals on their behalf. It might be that you're Dane and Dwayne Rashford, who represent Marcus, and you're brothers of a top player, and you get into agency that way.
Oh, is that his brothers of his agent?
Yeah, they represent him and do a great job for him. It might be that I've got another friend of mine who's a partner at a top Italian agency. He was at a house party in a wardrobe, getting with a girl. A guy walked in trying to get his coat to go home. They started chatting. Turns out he's a really big agent in Italy. Years later, he now works for them.
Crazy, man.
There's no blueprint in terms of...
It just
how
happens
you get
that way,
into it.
though. The same with like my set of skills. If I had a friend now who was a big athlete and they were like, I want to work with that brand, with my skills there, I know I could easily get on the phone with their chief marketing officer or head of brand. And
that's what I mean. When you break it down,
I wouldn't need to have something like a degree or a specific set of skills. I know there are set of skills, but same with the world of dancing. I had no experience doing those sponsorships for that, but I was like, I love dance. I know how to talk the language of dance. I understand negotiate deals. I know how to lead gen. I know how to pick up the phone and cold call and pitch people. And I was like, and I literally Googled the contract, not even joking. Everyone listening right now, I was like, how to do sponsorship contract. Found some examples, called a few companies. Is this up to date, legal? Oh no, add a few things in, send it over, deal was signed. Like literally winged it. And this is like over 100K worth of deals. And I think I did that in 3 months, right? You don't need to... I'd love to help you out with that, by the way. If you ever wanted 100%. Someone to come in and talk about sales training, and pitching, for sure, cold calling, lead gen, that stuff.
We're going to have a foundation day at the South Bank Centre in London. It's going to be around September time when kids go back to school. So I want to get you both down. My mum will be down there teaching the kids how to write their CVs and update cover letters.
Really? That's amazing, man.
Have a friend of mine who writes for Daily Mail Sport who's going to... Because, a big thing is about giving these kids an understanding that if you don't become a sports agent, there are lots of jobs in the sports world that you can be. You could be a journalist, could be a videographer, could be a physio, could be a chef. The list is endless. So the foundation's really important to me. And it's just about giving back. I can't take it with me when I pop my clogs. So it's about just making sure that we've got something there for the next generation.
You got like a website for that and stuff?
Yeah, it's on. Actually, our website's just about to be relaunched. We've got a nice one coming. So there'll be a section specific there, the ASC Foundation, where people can find out the info. And
in the meantime, before I let you go, where can people follow you?
You can follow me on the gram.
on the gram.
Akin, AKIN. I'm one of the few to have my first name as my username, which is pretty cool.
Oh, do you? You just have Akin?
Yeah, I just got Akin. Wow. I'm like, who else has got that? Beyonce? I think she's got just Beyonce. I think so.
Someone else would have had that and she would have had to have bought it off. Yeah, she got on the gram
100%. Yeah. So just at Akin.
Just at Akin
on Instagram,
Twitter, Akin_SC.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm there. Anyone, and I'm always open to helping. Always. So hit me up if you have any questions.
Well, thanks for coming on the show, man. It means a lot.
Wait, we've got one more question.
Oh, okay.
That we have to ask everyone.
Oh, yeah.
The whole point of the bloody podcast.
Yeah.
What? So, question is, everyone that's listening, what advice would you give them to maximize their wellness?
Are we talking physical wellness, mental, everything under one
well-being,
roof?
all under one roof.
Both can be one, either or.
That's
both.
a great question, Hans. So one piece of advice, or
just one thing
piece
they
of
can
advice,
do?
A little nugget.
I'd say
it can be a big nugget.
Off the top of the dome, I've got a good one for you. I doubt you'll hear a better.
We need these sayings. You've got these sayings, and I feel like
at the end of this season, I want you to rank. No, you don't have to rank them, but pick your favorite bit of advice, and mine better be in there. So anyway, mine is, and it's another quote, which is quite fitting, seeing as we've been dropping quote gems all the whole podcast. Happy are those who dream dreams, but are prepared to pay the price to make them come true. So for me, when I think of wellness, it's about being a dreamer. Like you said, visualizing these pitches and sitting on a yacht and sitting in nice cars or whatever it might be. It might be having your family taken care of, whatever success means to you. Dream those dreams, but be prepared to pay the price to make them come true. And that doesn't necessarily mean pain or difficult times, but it just means when things do get a bit sticky, push through. And I think that ties in directly to wellness, because it's about chasing whatever you feel your calling is, right? But putting in the work. Like, there's no better feeling than chasing what you really, really want to do. And I understand not everyone is able to just focus on that. You got work and life, but focus at least a little bit on what you want to do and put in the work to get there. So I think that's a big one.
Love that. Oh, I'll put you number one. Man. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate all your energy.
I feel like I need to choose a sport and get really good at it now, so I can get reps.
Breakdancing.
Paris 24.
Oh, I'm not ready for that. I'm a bit old for that now.
Nah.
A bit old man. Yeah.
I'll send you some supplements, mate. We'll sort you out.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Guys.
All right, wrap it up there.
Bam.